Good afternoon, and thank you for participating to our audience and our distinguished panelists. I am Luis Laguerre, chair of the Association of American Chambers of Commerce of Latin America, and very glad to be hosting this panel. The issue of small and medium enterprises is key for the development of all of our economies in Latin America. And during the pandemic, it has been one of the areas which has been more impacted. And we have a very select group of panelists that will be discussing with us the issues pertaining to this specific portion of our economy. Firstly, Mr. Marco Antonio Araujo, Chief Financial Officer of Coca-Cola Latin America, Mr. Pablo Vargas from Britt, Grupo Britt, Executive Chairman, and Jennifer Medina, CEO of Cintora Textiles. Welcome, and I'm sure that this will be a very fruitful conversation for the benefit of our audience. If I can start with you directly with the questions, Marco Antonio, in terms of from the view of Coca-Cola, the impact that the pandemic has had on the small and medium enterprises, and how has been the relationship that historically Coca-Cola has had with this sector of the economy.
Thank you, Luis. First of all, thank you to invite me for this panel, to U.S. Chamber, and also to the business leaders that are here, and also to the authorities as well. So, well, you know, these small companies, they are very important for the region. In fact, if you see the numbers, they represent 90% of the business in the region, and more or less 60% of the workers or the companies. So this is a very important channel, especially for us because 50% of our sales are in this channel. So during the pandemic, I think most of us will suffer. No, the economies are suffering, but in my opinion, they are suffering much more because they don't have the infrastructure, you know, the working capital. So it has been very difficult for them to go through this crisis. So Coca-Cola, what we decided to do is a plan to really help the small tenderos, the way we call in Latin America, in order to go through this crisis. Basically, three things that we are investing. The first one, we decided to do a specific campaign for the small companies. You know, to help the communities needs to help all the small companies because they are the essence of the business. They are the essence of the economy. And so for the first time, we did a campaign, a marketing campaign in several countries saying, go there, buy in the small companies, because we know that during the pandemic, what happened, the digital channel started to grow so fast, and people start to buy for, you know, because the COVID started to buy through the apps instead of buying in the shopping of the community. So this was the first thing that we did. The second one is, we believe during the crisis, it's time to invest. So we start to invest in this small business. We have a program called Prospera. Prospera basically helps all these small businessmen in order to provide a modernization to the stores, help the store to change the layout. We put some coolers in the stores, and also start to teach them some commercial techniques to improve, you know, their sales. We also invest a lot in returnable bottles. Why returnable bottles? First, because it's very important for the environment. Second, because the returnable bottles, they have a lower price point. So this could be for them very important because they'll be more competitive during the crisis. And the third one that I think is very important is about, you know, training. We need more and more to train because the world evolves so much that we start to train mainly in digital, providing tools. No, we have Wabi, there's a tool that allows them also to sell digitally, but also to train them more about economics, how to manage the stores. So this was a combination of several activities that we decided to implement because we know that it'll be difficult for them to go through this crisis. And we see that the initial returns of this program is working. Why? Because, they start to be stronger, and we do believe that we need to continue investing in this channel because the crisis is not over yet. No, we have the pandemic, now we have inflation, maybe a recession. So that's why our intention is to continue to invest in this channel in the future.
Very interesting. The fact that multinational looks after the small and medium enterprises as a key partner in their process. So perhaps, Jennifer, can you share with us the story behind Cintora Textiles, which I'm sure will be of interest for our audience.
Thank you. Well, thank you to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce for having me here. It's for me an honor to be representing millions of small companies of all Central America that each day wake up and fight and work to be at the day in this competitive and never-changing world. Cintora Textiles has been working for more than 15 years developing textile products. We have made everything from casket interiors for the U.S., homeline products, to corporate uniforms for big companies. And in the year 2015, we started working with Walmart as a supplier, and now we're manufacturing for them more than 40 different items for all Central America. And in this, we're benefiting more than 40 women and their families in our community. Working closely with our community, we saw different necessities, but there was one that stood up the most for us. That was the relationship between families and work. So we developed a program, our Fair Trade program, that will help families and everybody involved in our value chain, come out as a winner.
Excellent, excellent. Congratulations
Thank
for
you.
that initiative. And Pablo, from the point of view of Britt, that has also a long history of interacting with small and medium enterprises, how has been the situation trying to go ahead of the pandemic?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Luis, and thank you to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Just to give you a little bit of context, we have two businesses, actually two companies. One is the coffee company. People know us because of the coffee and the chocolates too. Mm-hmm. And then the other one is a gift shop company. We're a travel retailer. We do shops at airports primarily, airports, hotels, resorts. We serve the traveler. So those are two separate businesses related to each other, but two separate businesses, and they behaved differently during the pandemic. We buy coffee from more than 1,000 individual farmers, and the world during the pandemic kept drinking coffee. We had to buy a little less because the shops at the airports were closed, and we sell a lot of coffee to the shops at the airports and to hotels and restaurants, and all those were closed during the pandemic. But in general, the coffee industry is very resilient, and this pandemic showed that coffee, basically some channels were lower, but some other channels, like the web channel, we sell a lot of coffee in the U.S. Directly through our website, and those sales just grew exponentially. So the coffee side was not that hurt, but the other side of the business, which is the larger portion of our business these days, which is the gift shops. We do these strategic planning sessions, and we say, well, what if one country, because of political problems, closes the airport, But we never thought that all countries at the same time would close down, airports and hotels and restaurants, everything was closed. So we didn't have a business, basically, for several months. And that was very hard on us and very hard on our suppliers. It was like I say now half joking, but it was very serious. Like a business in reverse, because like, for instance, the purchase department had to see how to return some of the product to the suppliers that could accept some product. And the human resources department had to lay off people or apply to all the government-based programs to help people. But the situation has dramatically changed, because this is a business that the harder it gets, the more opportunities we have. And so nowadays, during that time, we did several things, with suppliers. For instance, we created the Comunidad Latinoamericana de Artesanos. We put together artisans from different countries and have them talk to each other and do like workshops, and we planned this before the pandemic, but it was very useful during the pandemic, because they could share with each other what they were doing to survive, and we helped them finding lines of credit and financial support. But now that situation has reversed, and it's one of the times that we have more opportunity in actually the time that we've had more opportunities in our lifetime in that business, because the airports are in financial distress, and they need to continue growing, and people continue to travel, and so now, like, we have 190 shops at airports and hotels, but we have currently, from now until December, we have 74 projects that we need to finish by December. So it's a different time, and I find that one of the most important things that we were able to do with our suppliers was keep them informed, even though there was a lot of uncertainty, because we ourselves had to secure our cash flow. That was the most important thing. We went into survival mode, and we kept a close relationship with the banking institutions that we've earned their trust throughout the years. So we did a lot of work just on the financial side to keep the cash flow and to preserve cash and to guarantee that we could be still alive after the pandemic. And I think that's something that companies felt, our suppliers felt it as well, but the governments didn't feel it. And we can talk more about that.
Sure. And it's interesting because, during the pandemic, the fact that companies were really resilient in order to go through those difficult years, that is a situation that has not stopped, had made a lot of people needing to reinvent themselves. And perhaps Jennifer can share with us, in terms of the business that you are running, how it adapted to the new situation that came without any previous notice.
Yes, well, as you know, our products, as you heard, were not first necessity products. So we adapted and innovated to the necessities of that time. At the beginning of the pandemic, we empowered a group of people, especially women, and we gave them work to take to their houses, to their homes. And this group were mostly women. We identified that by working in their homes, they will earn much more and better than working in a company, formal or informal. So in this time, we had a great challenge that was to make 1 million face masks in a small amount of time. So when we started, we saw this big opportunity. And the women that in other circumstances would be in our country with a white flag, asking for food or for money for the sustain of their families, became small business owners. And they gave work to other women. With this, they showed the members of their family that with hard and honest work, they can prosper. And not only that, by working in their houses, these women took care of their children. Meanwhile, they were working. This is the social important part. And they could guide their education. And also, this would take their children away from the problem of gangs in our country. And also, we saw the opportunity that we could import opportunities for other countries and we can export our work and our talent. And by doing so, we think we can grow and expand this program to more women and more people in our community.
So it's a model that can be exported,
Yes.
expanded,
Expand.
and for the sustainability of a lot of families. And in that sense, Marco Antonio, the revival of neighborhoods, and after basically considering the importance of SMEs in all our countries, how important it is in the case of Coca-Cola.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some numbers. If you see, as I mentioned before, 90% of the companies are small companies, and they represent 25% of the GDP of Latin America. So it's something very important. On top of that, if you consider that for each small company is linked to 4 families, in some way this is became even more important if you extrapolate, the importance. So as we know, this channel has been severely impacted, and as a Coca-Cola, we believe that during the crisis, I think it's important that the private sector, the public sector, and the other institutions, they work together in plans to reactivate this channel. Because it's easy to do the math, 25% of GDP, if you don't help this sector, what's going to happen, the whole economy will be affected. Mm-hmm. So that's why we are continually promoting these programs. We during the crisis, 300,000 stores, we have direct investments on that in this program that I call of modernization. And we want to continue, because one of the things that we realize is most of the stores is led by women. Mm-hmm. So women has a very important role in the small companies. In the company, as a Coca-Cola, we are committed to women empowerment and helping the community, helping the small companies, also helping the empowerment of women. What we are doing also is getting some agreements with universities in order to develop capacitation, develop training for the sector, because this will be very important, because the world has changed so much, and we need to help them to be ready for new capabilities. That's why I think it's important to continue supporting, the small companies.
And in these years, we have seen a rise in terms of digital business, but for some companies, the economy and the value chain continues to be the procurement of goods and services directly for the process. And I'm sure, Pablo, do you have some comments regarding that value chain and how it has been disrupted because of the pandemic, and how those challenges have been absorbed by the company?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have a mix of local suppliers and global suppliers. And we saw the disruption in the global suppliers. For instance, we buy coffee equipment, and that equipment is made either in Europe or in Asia. And all those shipments, got delayed. And so we didn't have enough inventory at one time, and then later on we had more inventory than we needed because we placed a lot of purchase orders, And so all those disruptions, but I think the world will handle them. I mean, the things have improved, but I would emphasize the importance of the local suppliers. We do have a concept that we call, we think of ourselves not as a multinational company, but we coined the term multi-local company. In each country, we want to be a local company and add as much local content as possible. So for instance, we're a coffee company from Costa Rica, but we're in Colombia. Well, in Colombia, we do Colombian coffee, and we showcase the differences between the different Colombian coffee producing regions, and try to teach people, taste the coffee from this region, and you can see that it tastes different from Pitalito, to all the regions. to Santa Marta, the Sierra Madre, and even some of those regions, people from Colombia have not tried their coffee. So we try to showcase what makes us special. We do globalization, and we do business because people travel and globalization and all of that, but I say that we are the nice face of globalization because we, instead of thinking that we're standard people, that everybody's the same, no, we know that we are different, and we know that people like to identify with a piece of land, with a country, and with a culture, and we try to show the world that each of those countries, each of those cultures have very special values and very special products, which we translate all that into commercial product in an airport. And so we have to do a lot of local work, and during the pandemic, as I said, we kept our suppliers informed. We tried to help them in any way we could. But now, more importantly, we need them to be ready, and we need them to have the financial means to grow with us, because now we're in an expansion mode, We're going 200 miles an hour now. And so we need them to accompany us. And for that, what we need is the support of governments creating some sort of, financial facilities for them, or sometimes, a lot of times they have the cash flow, the future cash flow, because we can guarantee the future cash flow, but they don't have the hard guarantees. Mm-hmm. They don't have the land that usually banks require to approve loans. So I think there's a lot of work to be done in that sense, because like when we started 35 years ago in Costa Rica, our main handicap, or our main obstacle to growth was capital. And these days, if I was going to start another company in Costa Rica, the hardest thing to find would be capital. So it's the same thing. And it's the same thing throughout the region. Mm-hmm. There's not enough institutions, people, angel investors investing in startups in the region. Things have improved, the governments are doing a lot of things, but in practical terms, like for instance, I was listening to Vice President Harris this morning, and she was depicting a theoretical case of a woman who was a head of a household with 2 children in Honduras, and she had a coffee field, and she would need the help of a credit institution and the help of somebody buying her coffee, and I was thinking, but that happens every day, We shouldn't be talking about that here, because we should be talking how to put them together, and how could we get these women in Honduras, talk to the women in Costa Rica, talk to the women in Peru, share their experiences, and let them work, And they just need capital. They just need capital. They're very good entrepreneurs, and I see that throughout the region, in coffee, in the arts and handicrafts, arts and crafts, in small, medium-sized companies throughout the region.
Enhancing SMEs is definitely something that all countries should focus on. Sure. Probably then in closing, I don't know, Jennifer, if you can discuss and comment what you consider are the main challenges, but also the main opportunities for small and medium enterprises.
Okay, I agree 100%. First, I believe with access to bigger markets and consistent markets, we will be able to expand our program to more women and to more communities, and that benefit translate in more safety in our countries, less immigration. Other thing, we need laws that are more friendly. We need processes that are more digital. And in the end, we need real access to capital, to funding, to make a reality every big project that possibly comes.
Well, it is clear that not only in small companies, but also in multinationals, yes, the relationship with small and medium enterprises has been disrupted, but there has been action being taken in order to improve in this important sector. Because you mentioned 25% of the economy, but if we consider the disparities in our economies, that 25% represents a lot of people, much more than 25% of our population in our regions. Thank you to the three of you for your time, for participating and sharing such insightful comments with our audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.